Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Good afternoon and welcome to the Philippine Consulate General in Calgary. So I'm sure you're all very excited for our edition of Sining Sa Konsulado, and it's very special because this is on the occasion of the Maritime and Archipelagic Nation Awareness Month, or MANEMO. That's why we're celebrating Baybayin ng Batangas. So to formally begin our program for today, let us all put our right hand over our left chest. Let us all sing together the Philippine National Anthem and the Canadian National Anthem. Thank you. Thank you very much, and to welcome us with a warm welcome, as warm and soothing as the breezes of the West Philippine Sea. Let us all call to the stage none other than the Consul General, Emma Sarnes.
May problema sa West Philippine Sea. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. And it is my honor and pleasure to welcome you all to the Philippine Consulate General in Calgary for the opening of Sining Sa Konsulado's third quarter exhibit, Baybayin ng Batangas. This exhibit is a window into Batangas, a first-class province in the Philippines, blessed with a coastline that stretches for over 300 kilometers. It touches Balayang Bay, Batangas Bay, and the Verde Island Passage, which is often called the heart of the Coral Triangle, or the center of marine biodiversity in the world. Batangas's coasts are home to fisherfolk, whose days begin before sunrise, to dive communities that share the wonders of coral reefs with visitors, and to generations who have built livelihoods, cuisine, myths, and culture around what the sea provides. So as you step into this exhibit, I invite you to imagine the shoreline of Batangas at first light. The sky, glowing pink and gold. The salty breeze carrying the sound of waves, and the silhouettes of bangkas gently rocking as fishermen prepare for the day. Imagine the laughter of children playing barefoot along the sand, and the chatter in the palengke as the morning's catch is unloaded, and the aroma of fresh and kapeng barako filling the morning air. Ang sarap tanawin itong eksenang ito, hindi ho ba? And this is the life of Batangas' coastal towns. Communities whose daily rhythm is tied to the sea. It is a life steeped in faith, labor, and story, where fisherfolk still observe maritime traditions, whispering prayers before casting nets, turning back when the moonlit sea is too quiet, and sharing stories of sirena sightings, mermaids said to lure fishermen or warn them of storms. These beliefs, half caution, half poetry, remind us that the sea is a source of both livelihood and mystery. It is to be respected, feared, and celebrated. So it is fitting that we gather this September during Maritime and Archipelagic Nation Awareness Month, or MANAMO, when we celebrate the Philippines as a true archipelagic nation. The archipelagic doctrine, enshrined in the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, affirms that our more than 7,600 islands and the waters connecting them are one cohesive whole. For Filipinos, it is not just law, it is a lived reality. The sea does not divide us, it connects us and it unites us. And our celebration today is doubly special because we will also present Mr. Renato Gandia's Mandaragat Anthology, a collection of poems, stories, and reflections on life at sea, the struggles and triumphs of our seafarers, and the enduring connection between Filipinos and the ocean. The anthology will enrich our understanding of the maritime spirit of the Philippines, which is the same spirit that inspires the artworks you see in this quarter's exhibit. Baybayin ng Batangas showcases the talent of two extraordinary Batangueña artists. Day Pajarillo, where are you, Day? Pakita ka, there you are. Who was inspired by the lakeside culture and lifestyle of her hometown in Talisay, Batangas. And Kath Beredo Endaya, there she is, who drew inspiration from her hometown in Lipa, Batangas, though I understand Lipa is neither a coastal town nor a lakeside. It's rather landlocked, isn't it? But their works invite us to feel the warmth of the Batangas sun, to walk its shores, and to witness its people whose lives are inextricably tied to the sea. I also wish to extend my heartfelt appreciation to Sining Sa Creatives and Ms. Cecilia Alcaraz, the Consulate's valuable partner for this year-long Sining Sa Konsulado program. This marks their third exhibit with us this year, and through their vision and dedication, your consulate has become not just a place of service, but a space where Filipino creativity and culture can thrive. So, today, to Kath, to Renato, to Cecilia, and Sining Sa Creatives, maraming salamat for bringing Batangas' shores and the stories of our seafarers here to Calgary. And to all our guests, partners, and friends, thank you for joining us today. May this exhibit and this anthology move you to see the Philippines, and may I just digress a little, I'm also inviting you to join us next year for our Winter Escapade Tour, where we will be going to Dumaguete, Siquijor, Apo Island, and the Bicol region. So may this exhibit move you to see the Philippines, not just as a country of islands on a map, but as a nation whose hearts beat in rhythm with the sea. And may this exhibit inspire all of us to care for our coasts, protect our seas, and honor the people who call them home. Welcome po sa Baybayin ng Batangas.
Thank you very much po, Panjan Emma. We're very lucky that we have a maritime expert with us. And we're learning so much all throughout. So if you want more information about our maritime concerns, of course, you can approach the Honorable Consul General. But at this juncture, of course, so a person who needs no further introduction, but for those who are first time here, I'll share a little bit about our next speaker. Miss Cecilia Alcaraz, who also goes by her writer pseudonym Cecilia Ortiz Luna, is the executive director of Saling Pusa Creatives and principal writer for Saling Pusa magazine. A lawyer by profession, she found her true calling as a novelist and community organizer in her middle age. And after a decade of living in Canada, her novel, Blood Compact, a stylistic retelling of Philippine history, was a finalist at the 2025 Jim Wong Chu Asian-Canadian Writers Award, and longlisted for the 2025 Crime Writers of Canada Unpublished Manuscript Award. So without further ado, let's put our hands together for the Chief Mermaid, Miss Cecilia Alcaraz.
Thank you to our newly minted consul, Ms. Vida de Sosa. Okay, so magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. To our beloved Conjen Emma Sarne, DCG Dimagiba Jr., Consul Vida, Christine Tamaño, and the rest of the members of the mission, artists, guests, members of the Saling Pusa team, welcome. So September is the Maritime and Archipelagic Nation Awareness Month, or MANAMO, and Saling Pusa is, as partner of the Philippine Consulate General, Calgary's Arts and Culture section, has organized this exhibit. Most of what we know as Philippine history is actually a series of maritime events. 2,000 years ago, an Austronesian contingent sailed from Taiwan to Batangas Islands, which was the earliest known migration to our archipelago. In 1521, Ferdinand Magellan's five-ship 18-month journey from Sevilla, Spain to Mactan, Cebu. In 1858, the opening of the Suez Canal, which shortened the distance between Manila and Europe, paving the way for Jose Rizal and my ancestor, Antonio Luna, to study in Europe and later agitate for reforms, which led to the Philippine Revolution, and so on and so forth. It is the archipelagic nature of our country which dictated the course of our nation's history. So it is a worthy endeavor to impress upon the Filipino citizenry the importance of being aware. The Philippines is a maritime and archipelagic nation that is vested with sovereignty over its waters. This maritime sovereignty seeks to protect, among others, coastal provinces, which are the most vulnerable to illegal intrusion and potential territorial conflict. One of the goals of MANAMO is to protect these coastal provinces' marine resources for future generation and to preserve their inhabitants' way of life. Today, we will celebrate MANAMO by honoring, through art, one coastal province which is known as the Tagalog region's beachfront, none other than Batangas. I was born and raised in Montalban, Rizal, where I was surrounded not by water, but by mountains, the Sierra Madre Mountains in particular. So places with beaches held a certain fascination for me and for a lot of people in Montalban. My favorite summer memories were family excursions to Batangas. That meant renting a jeepney for a 3-hour trip to Nasugbu or Matabongkay, swimming in its pristine beaches, eating tawilis, viewing the Taal volcano, and buying buko pie to bring home. I have always wondered how it was to actually live in Batangas, all that expanse of majestic sea and placid lakes. If I lived in Batangas, I would probably spend my days creating stories set in Calatagan or Taal. It is fortunate then that today, I and all of you will get to experience Batangas through the art of two talented Batangueña painters and the words of a poet. To the left are the works of Day Pajarillo, who was born and raised in Talisay, Batangas. Day considers herself a cubist and an impressionist painter. She uses vibrant color palettes in acrylic to paint mostly human figures, movements, and portraits. A good number of her pieces on display today depict childhood memories set in Talisay, involving family members and also involving Talisay's lakes. Her uncle Tolembong giving her and her cousins joyrides on his wooden raft. Her lolo hauling in an abundance of fish from the waters of Taal. And sadly, her cousin Uweng, whose lifeless body was found on the other side of the lake and believed to have been claimed by one of the many sirenas that lived under the lake. To the right are pieces by Kath, Beredo, and Daya. Kath drew inspiration from childhood memories living in Lipa, Batangas. If Day is inclined towards human figures, Kath is a painter of land and water, of fields and seascapes, of nature in a state of tranquility. Scenes of farm folk in the midst of labor and moments of pastoral beauty. What distinguishes Kath from other painters is her special attention to visual accuracy. The blades in her pieces, the blades of the rice stalks, the interwoven nipa palm leaves on the side of a bahay kubo are drawn with loving detail. We will also hear shortly the writer and poet Renato Gandia read his piece, The Waters of Batangas. Renato is not a Batangueño, but he spent 4 years in the province as a student and had fond memories of the place. Renato is also one of the Filipino-Canadian authors who contributed to the anthology Magdaragat, which is about the triumphs and travails of Filipino immigrants who crossed the Pacific Ocean to create new lives in Canada. And in light of our theme today, Renato will later present Concha and Emma a copy of this groundbreaking book. So friends, thank you for coming here and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cecilia. So as you can see from the works, the Philippines is teeming not just with maritime resources, but also creative talent in visual arts, and now even the literary arts. So our next performer is actually a writer whose work explores identity, belonging, and queer experiences. A former journalist, Mr. Renato Gandia now crafts fiction and essays rooted in Filipino and Canadian life, and is the managing editor of Sining Sa magazine. He's one of the featured authors in Magdaragat, as mentioned by Ms. Cecilia, a landmark anthology by 47 Filipino-Canadian writers depicting Filipino-Canadian identities, experiences, histories, presents, and futures. So let's give a warm, warm round of applause to Mr. Renato Gandia.
Maraming salamat po. Magandang hapon, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Ako nga po ay I'm not from Batangas, I'm not Batangueño, but I grew up in Quezon province, which is by the ocean, by Lamat Bay. And so when Cecilia asked me if I grew up in Batangas, well, I spent 5 years actually in Lipa, where I studied philosophy at St. Francis de Sales Major Seminary, and invited me to be a part of today's celebration of the art. I really feel honor about that. So I'm going to recite to you a poem that I wrote, The Waters of Batangas. The waters of Batangas. Dawn breaks in a gasp. The shore exhales salt, counting rosaries of foam. In Anilao, water confesses, immersing divers in coral cathedrals, collapsing to sand. Parrotfish gnaw stone into silence. Each bite is a century falling. Nasug boat presses cliffs into tide. Wooden bankers creak with ancestral marrow. Men thread nets with prayer in their fingers, their bodies remembering what history refused to write. Laia blazes white, children fling themselves at surf, laughter blistering in the noon fire. Vendors haunt the edges, fingers brine in dried squid, eyes collapsing like old promises in thin plastic cups. Taal burns quiet into glass beneath the volcano's heart thrums. A drum no one can silence, the willies glitter and vanish, coins of memory paid to the depths. A fisherman lifts his net, and time itself pours through his hands. But water remember wounds. Plastic clots the tide. Oil spreads its counterfeit rainbows. Typhoon splinters hulls. Homes collapse like paper lanterns in a storm. Still, people return to peace, to cast, to plunge, to trust again in a sea that forgets nothing. Evening loosens its grip. Anilaw mirrors dust. The Subu's edges glow low, ember thin. Laia fades, footprints evaporating into dark. On Taal, the volcano exhales, its shadow inscribed on the lake. These waters carry gospel and ash, children's laughter, roofs ripped from their moorings, prayers sinking like anchors. Here is the reckoning. Life tastes of salt. When breath ends, the tide gathers us, restless, maternal, merciless, and does not let go. Thank you very much. A little over more than 2 years ago, more than a year ago, I was lucky to be invited to be part of this anthology called Magdaragat. It's an anthology of Filipino-Canadian writing, which was a national anthology, which is we believe is the first anthology of literary anthology that was ever printed in Canada. And I have a small piece on this book, and I really feel honored to present this to our Consul General so that the consulate will have a copy of this landmark anthology.
Thank you very much for the unfathomable beauty of that performance. So I have also been informed that the artist would like to say a few words. So if we may, we'd like to call to the stage to share a little more about her insights. Kath, Barredo, and Daya.
Hello. Hello. Hello, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Yes. My name is Kat and I was born and raised in Lipa, Batangas. Growing up close by Batangas, maritime culture, like yung pangingisda, ganyan, it sees and beautiful sunset has deeply influenced me. The rhythm of the waves and the vast horizons remind me of resilience, calm, beauty, and serenity. My art represents the profound beauty of nature. Through my paintings, I aim to capture the essence of our nature, inviting my viewers to experience the world with joy and wonder. By bringing the beauty of nature into our lives through art, we can foster a deeper connection with the environment and a greater appreciation for its preservation. I also celebrate not only the beauty of Batangas, but our culture as Batangueños. Isa po sa aking mga likha ay ang bayanihan. And for those who don't know Bayanihan, it is the spirit of community, where neighbors come together to help one another without expecting anything in return. Ito pong painting na ito is very special sa akin because I grew up witnessing my parents embody this spirit. They have always They have always helped others, offering kindness and support without asking anything in return. At kami po mga Batanggenyo, at alam po natin tayo mga Pilipino, ganun po ang puso natin bilang isang Pinoy, ang tumulong at magmalasakit sa kapwa. So bukod po sa magaganda nating kalikasan sa Pilipinas, sa Batangas, ipinagmamalaki po natin ang ating magandang kaugalian. And through this painting, I honor them and all Filipinos who continue to inspire and show compassion and unity. Bago po matapos ang aking ang gabing ito, gusto ko pong magpasalamat sa inyong oras at sa suporta. I'd like to take the opportunity to say thank you to my husband Russell and my wonderful sons Royce, Riley, and Renzo. Thank you so much. They are my greatest inspiration. And a heartfelt thank you as well to Saling Pusa Executive Director, Miss Cecilia Alcaraz. Maraming salamat po. Sa ating pong Consul General Madam Emma Sarn, maraming salamat po. To the PCG team and to my fellow artist Miss Day Parangilio at sa lahat po na nandito ngayong gabi, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Maraming salamat po. And next, we'd like to call upon Miss Day Baharilio. Nakatakas dito ha.
Day na naman.
Ako ay hiyang-hiya. Manuwa hindi sanay mag-i-speech pero pinasulat ang speech. So are, nagbabatanggan ako. Dahil ako nga ay lumaki sa Talisay. Ang title po ng aking speech ay My People. Ako po ang hiningkod. Darna! Kaya po sinulat ko rito. Okay, joke lang po. So, good evening po sa my constituents. Pangarap ko maging constituents. So, I'm not very much of a speech person. I feel nervous whenever I have to do this, but here we go. Ako po ang panbansang pintasera ng Calgary. My name is Day Pajarillo, eldest child and only daughter of Arcadio and Rosalita Pajarillo. My government name is Diana. My parents were talking about combining their names, but they come up with Aroscaldo. So combining Arcadio and Rosalita. So, yeah. True story. Okay, so I'm what am I? My mom of one and grandma of three. So I hold a bachelor's degree in fine arts, major in painting, not fainting, painting, F, painting from UST, Universidad ng Santo Tomas. So we grew up spending holidays and summers and Christmas holidays in Talisay, Batangas, where my maternal grandparents were born and raised and laid to rest. My parents were also laid there, but on a separate nicho. So my collection on the wall are predominantly, gusto niya na, predominantly. So finally get used to that word, predominantly. That word in a sentence, use the word in a sentence. How can I use predominantly in a sentence? So, yeah. So all my collections are all from my childhood memory. I have not gone home to visit for over a decade, and you can tell on my artworks that I miss my hometown very much, my masterpieces. So my influence in my paintings is mainly Mauro Malang Santos and my late professor, UST professor Antonio Austria. So their style is a little bit cubism. So that's why my style is almost cubist. Of course, I can paint in classical as well, and my style for that matter, and what you see right now is home to my heart. So my slogan, my name is Day. I'm the designer of my own destiny, and thank you.
That was predominantly a lot of fun.
Yes, very.
Yes. So, you know what they also said? Vanilla Ice is Batanggenyo. Did you know why?
Ice.
Because
Napre.
Ice, ice, baby. I stop. Okay, so I'll stop for now and I'll let you enjoy our refreshments. So please enjoy the dinner that is served. Thank you very much and enjoy the artworks.
Yan, natulog.
Predominantly.